Hello, this is the RPG Crawler, and welcome to another Indie Game Friday, where each week I take a look at a different independent role-playing game. This week I'll be taking a look at a strategy/card-building/rogue-lite called Iris and the Giant. Developed by Louis Regard and published by Goblins Studio and Maple Whispering, it was released on February 27th, 2020. Iris and the Giant is an abstracted, minimalist roguelike with a card-based combat system and procedurally generated levels, each of which is a simplified and streamlined, almost puzzle-based system of parallel encounters. There's a couple different character advancement paths, both on an individual run and as a set of permanent bonuses between runs that can be switched around and rearranged for any particular challenges you want to do on a particular go. In terms of plot, Iris and the Giant follows a troubled young girl who has to face her fears and inner demons in the realm of her imaginations, cast as a sort of trip through the mythological underworld, starting at the River Styx and proceeding onward. Throughout the game, Iris's melancholic background is explored through cutscenes found in memories that one can uncover. Gameplay primarily consists of turn-based combat. Rather than having sprawling levels, you're faced with multiple advancing rows of enemies, items, and terrain, with exploration consisting of killing off each row of enemies and or dealing with traps, terrain, and treasure as they advance towards you. But first, let's take a look at the interface. The interface, such as it is relatively simple. There's a tag in the upper left corner that lets you examine a drop-down interface that shows what special abilities you've unlocked for that particular run, along with an options menu, a book that shows your overall game progress, a list of special challenges that are currently in progress, and the ability to quit the game. In the lower left, you have the number of crystals that you need to find to get to the next rare card, the number of stars you need in order to increase your basic abilities and traits, your current willpower that serves as your health, and then your overall deck of cards. Your currently drawn cards are displayed along the bottom of the screen, and finally, in the lower right, it offers a chance to end the turn after you have taken at least one action in combat. Aside from that, the rows of enemies and terrain you need to overcome are shown in the main portion of the screen. Mousing over each enemy will show any special abilities that it may have and what damage it does. Some enemies take more hits in order to destroy, and this is generally indicated either by actual armor that they're wearing or symbols that on the enemy rather than any particular health bar. Mousing over each of your attack cards also shows what the attack does. There's a number of basic weapon attacks, bows, daggers, swords, and axes, each with their own attack patterns, as well as more rare magical attacks or special moves that you can uncover during play. At the start of each turn, you draw cards, and your turn generally ends when you play an attack. Some cards, however, allow you to continue your turn. For instance, some cards may allow you to refill your willpower and then also continue play, while the basic sword attack doesn't immediately end your turn, but allows you to continue to play sword attacks that you have in your hand until you're out of them. Other things, such as breaking amphora or looting chests, also do not end your turn. After your turn is over, the enemies then take theirs. Due to the nature of exploration, they generally don't move towards you, although some do have the ability to do so, hopscotching over their comrades. Rather, those enemies with ranged weapons or are in the front row do their damage to your willpower. Many enemies also have special attacks or abilities, such as creatures that detonate bombs when beside you, creatures that armor up other creatures, creatures that steal a card if their attack goes unblocked, and so on and so forth. It makes for a very predictable combat from a turn-to-turn basis with an emphasis on strategic planning, while the randomness of the card draws themselves provide for the uncertainty of battle. Some enemies are major and may provide a special ability star when defeated. These instantly allow you to select an upgrade once picked. After using each of your cards, it is removed from your bag/deck, and you only have a certain number of cards in your bag to begin with. There are thus two ways to lose: run out of willpower without having some sort of ability to sustain you, and running out of cards in your deck. Fortunately, you may find other cards in chests, pretty often in fact, earn them through abilities, or gain them through collecting enough crystals, and many times you'll find an entire stack of cards to add to your deck. You may also encounter other things in these columns that come towards you: breakable terrain, treasure chests, piles of crystals, as well as stairways. Each level has at least one stairway that leads to the next, although some have secret stairways that allow access to optional levels. Of note is that when you qualify for stat upgrades, pick up chests, pick up boss stars, or the like, you are generally given an option between multiple offerings. Some chests may allow you to select 2 stacks out of several, while most other choices will really only allow for one selection. In most cases, these are simply cards that you add to your deck for future use, but boss stars and stat upgrades increase your character directly. Also, be careful not to damage chests, stacks of crystals, or the like with area of attacks as you bring them forward, because it can and will reduce their reward, either the number of crystals that you can pick up or the number of cards that you get from the chest. Boss upgrades will allow you to acquire a particular special ability, adding some sort of extra ability to a basic card type or action. For instance, granting an extra card per number of crystals collected, or adding a stun effect to a particular attack type. Collecting enough regular stars by defeating enemies also offers the option of a chest to open or one of several trait upgrades. Each trait has up to 4 levels available and offers a change to gameplay, representing an element of Iris's psyche. Determination, for instance, grants will points each time you defeat a demon with one of the basic attacks. Trick returns cards played to the bag/deck after a certain number of cards are played. Optimism grants will points for crystals found, and so forth. There are 7 such traits in all. After each run, you gain additional rewards for your next game based on the number of stars that you found during that run. These are generally randomly selected cards for your deck to start with. Of note is that during play, you can also unlock memories and imaginary friends. Memories not only reveal more of the storyline, but may be used to unlock various bonuses on subsequent plays. You can select these before each run using the Memories tab before starting the game, and you may reassign them each time or even remove them to attain certain challenges. These may provide additional abilities, but may also change what you can expect to find during play, for instance, adding particular cards into the random lineup for chests. Imaginary friends are unlocked with challenges and generally add a special quality as long as they're following you. For instance, the first imaginary friend unlocked will spawn a demon on each floor, which allows you an additional turn once you defeat it. In terms of presentation, Iris and the Giant has a sort of minimalist, abstract art style that may not agree with everyone, but which I found to be quite good for what it is, and really evocative of the mood being presented. At the very least, it made for a unique look and feel, although the interface as a whole somewhat detracted from that, since it feels very much in line with what you would expect of a mobile game. Musically, the soundtrack is rather excellent, lending much to the sad atmosphere of elements of the game. My main criticism of the game focus on the 2 main issues that I had. It can be a little repetitive at times, and while there are boss demons based on Greek myth that break it up from time to time, stripping the roguelike exploration loop down to a bare minimum can have its costs. Similarly, the interface, although intuitive, could use some work. I understand that it is actually on the to-do list for the developers, but even though the mouse-over style context help was present on every enemy, it wasn't entirely clear what some enemies actually did. Now, it may be nitpicking, I know, but I thought it may be worth mentioning. All in all, Iris and the Giant is a stylish little roguelite with a different sort of combat system that I've not usually seen, and a story that really does call out for more exploration. I'm not sure I would recommend it for most people who like more hardcore roguelikes or RPGs in general, but for the casual roguelite fan, it's pretty good. My only concern is that I'm not sure there's enough content to justify the price tag as of this moment, but that may just be personal perception on my part. I'll have to file this into the interesting experience for fans of that particular subgenre, but maybe not for the general RPG audience pile. And on that note, I'm going to wrap it up here. As always, I will put a link to where you can buy it in the description below. For now, this has been the RPG Crawler with Indie Game Friday, Iris and the Giant. If you like what you've seen, remember to leave a like, comment if you got any feedback, and subscribe for more RPG content, both tabletop and computer. Until next time, take care and goodbye. And if you're still watching this far, I'd like to take a moment to thank those who have supported this channel via Patreon or direct donations throughout the years, without which this channel could not have lasted as long as it has. For those who are feeling particularly generous, you can still support my work through Patreon and now through Subscribestar as well, through the links in the description below.